Streaming live from the beautiful city of Hollywood, Florida, USA. This is SoFloRadio.com.
SoFloRadio.com presents the Real Estate King of South Florida with your host, Philip Simonetta, PA. Founder of the Simonetta Group of Charles Ruttenberg Realty and the Real Estate King Coaching and Consultant Group, specializing in introducing structure, authenticity, and humanity into the real estate world. Not to mention a splash of wild and crazy. We bring you your host, Philip Simonetta, PA.
Welcome everybody to the Real Estate King of South Florida, Episode 3, all about sellers. I am here with Matt Frost, Mark McDonald of Movement Mortgage, and we are going to have some fun tonight. So we're gonna start off tonight talking about the 3 different types of sellers that we deal with, and their issues, problems, positives, everything that they're dealing with in the transaction. We're also going to talk about the selling process. We're going to talk about how we can go through an 8-step process to make everything seamless and get the deal closed as soon as possible. Our cooking segment tonight is going to be a homemade ravioli with ricotta and spinach, and I'm making a little bit of a red pasta sauce here from scratch. It takes about 20 minutes, so we're gonna change up our routine here. We're gonna actually start the cooking segment in the beginning, so I can get this going, and then from there we're going to go ahead and speak more about the sellers. So
Looks good.
It's coming, man. It's gonna be great. I can't wait. Actually,
smell it. For those that can't smell it, it's not even cooked yet.
That's right. It hasn't even started.
Good. The garlic, I can smell the garlic. You got these big spoons for me. Maybe I could even dip into it.
Yeah. So just what I want to let you guys know is it's very simple. If you want to take a pen, make a note. Use 2 to 3 pieces of garlic and you chop them up fine. Use about a whole onion, about 2 tablespoons of salt and pepper, and about a 1/4 cup of sugar. You have 2 cans of crushed tomatoes and a can of tomato paste, along with basil and some grated Pecorino Romano cheese. And we're going to get that started in just a second here. So what do you think, Mark?
Oh, man, it looks good. For those that don't know, Philip is the realtor that cooks. You have your own website and everything, don't you?
Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Yeah. It comes from my history of owning restaurants and nightclubs and growing up. And we also, starting in October, the 3rd Wednesday of every month, we're going to have our Wine Down Wednesdays at the office on 33rd Street, where all the nightclubs and restaurants are. And it'll be free wine, free hors d'oeuvres, and just networking. Real estate professionals, clients, anyone in general is welcome. So we'll talk more about that later. And we're also going to do a cooking segment there, have some fun, have some food, and just have it as an event. So
nice.
So basically what we do to start this off, you take a little bit of... You can use olive oil or vegetable oil. I have vegetable oil for this evening. And we just put a little bit in there, let that heat up, and give that a minute. And what you're going to do after that gets a little bit of a toast on it, and you're going to take your garlic, and you're going to take your onion, and saute that till it gets to a little bit of there'll be a clearness, like translucent to the onion, about 3 to 5 minutes. So garlic and the onion, and you just let that go in. So while I had this started, I want to start to talk about the 3 types of sellers. Okay, the first type of seller that we have is an individual or a couple or business partners who are actually just starting to sell a property from scratch. It hasn't been on the market. It hasn't been, like they haven't tried to sell it in the past by themselves. It's just a true property coming on the market for sale. The second is someone in the same situation who had the property on the market and what happened, for some reason it didn't sell. And that's something that we call an expired listing. When the time comes up over the period, the property won't sell and they need to sell it. So what happens there is it's called an expired listing, and you relist. And last but not least, we have for sale by owners. These are the same types of individuals who are trying to sell the home on their own without the use of a real estate professional. And they're basically looking to profit more without having commissions and other things in structure there. So what I want to do, I want to talk about the first group who would be selling. And basically what they do is, they're looking at the market and they're seeing what's on the street and what's in the neighborhood that they're referencing to value their home. They're not checking the market trends. They're not looking at the past 6 months of what's selling, what's not, what's coming off the market, what expired. They just had this idea that their house is worth a lot of money. And, I equivalate their understanding, and I try to explain to them the market is what determines their home. It's not me. It's not them. It's not the mortgage guy. It's not the title company. It's not what the house down the street sold for. It's the actual market that determines it. And the way I explain that is I kind of have an analogy, and I place it up again, like the stock market. The same way the stock market is evaluated is the same way the real estate market is evaluated. If you buy GE stock and you pay $10 for it 3 years ago, and today it's $15, what do you sell it for?
Right.
You sell it for $15.
Right, 15.
I'd like to get 19, but who's going to buy it? Would you pay 19 if the stock market was,
No, it's 15.
It's 15, correct? Okay. So I equivalate the same concept. You have a house that you bought for $100,000, and now you want to sell it. It's worth $150 because that's what the market is telling you, what the comps are and what the neighborhood's doing. But yet you want $190. Who's going to pay $190 for it? And when you have that type of house, and a lot of agents out there, they'll list it. They'll actually list the house, and it's $20,000 too much, $30,000 too much. And a lot of the successful realtors, it basically undercuts. And what we call these bounce houses, because what happens
Bounce
is
houses.
bounce houses. You get that? You ever heard that before?
No.
Well, let me tell you
That's
what it
good.
is.
That's great.
Well, I call it bounce houses. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So what you do is, when you're showing 3 houses in that neighborhood, you're showing the 3 houses that you want to show, and then you have one that's $20,000 too high. So you show the houses, and you say, well, look at this one. You go in here, you show them the house, and you look at it, and wow, this house is X amount of dollars. You go over here, you save $20,000. So it's a bounce house.
So they bounce off of it to the other house they buy.
Right. So that's something that you deal with if you don't properly educate and properly work with the seller in that situation. There's a few things that we do.
So you're saying it needs to be priced right.
That's one of them. There's 8 different areas. And with most realtors, they don't look at the current market conditions. They just want to appease the seller. They want to tell them, yeah, okay, that's what you want for it. Okay, yeah, sure. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to put them into the understanding of where they're at. The second thing, is determining the home's value. They don't go back and they don't do the research. I prepare a 60-page report. It goes from the school trends to the crime trends to the per square footage, what each bedroom is worth per house. If there's an extra bathroom, what the bathrooms are worth. It goes down to if it's a tile floor or not. And it just breaks them down the exact amounts. And, the third thing that we do is, we settle on the right price, because that's the most important thing, settling on that right price. You can't go too high. You can't go too low.
Right.
Because, you want to get the client the most amount of money for the home within reasonable limits. And, number 4, is calculating the bottom line. Most of the sellers need to know what the bottom line is going to be. So you're going to take what they're selling it for, minus any mortgage balances, minus title fees, taxes, escrows, and all those things. And the bottom line is what the client a lot of time needs a number on.
I hear so many realtors, they don't give the seller the bottom line. They're like clueless.
Yeah, I don't get it. Because the bottom
I mean,
line
is there
what
like
makes-
some
makes
kind
the
of
deal.
like liability? Why aren't realtors giving the bottom line?
Listen, I don't know. I never didn't. It's just part of my transaction. It's just what I do. I've never done it where I don't give somebody their bottom line. I don't think there's any legal liability to it. I mean, it's what's there. Now number 5 is preparing the home for sale. You need to stage the home. You might need to paint. You might need to move some furniture around. Because let me tell you something. Walking into a cluttered place is so different than if you just reorganize it. It's like a different place. And you're talking 10, 20,000 more in value, to a buyer when a place is actually correctly staged and prepared. There's a huge difference in that situation.
That must be tough sometimes. You're like, you got to unclutter your house, and they think that they got the Taj Mahal, right?
Yeah, indeed. And
But I think they respect you more for that because you're like telling them not what they want to hear. You're telling them good advice.
And I was just going to say that to you. You got to be professional, and you got to tell people what they don't want to hear. It's not about what you want to hear. It's the truth, and you have to lay out what's going on. And here you are, black and white, A, B, and C. You can't dance around it because what's the point?
Right.
Just tell the truth. You're going to have a problem sooner or later. You might as well face it right there. And if you tactfully face it, you're not going to have any problems. It's just a matter of informing them, explaining to them, look, it's nothing personal. Here it is. I mean, I know you don't want to hear it, but there it is.
Right.
And number 6 is advertising and marketing the homes. Okay, so a lot of realtors, they do what I call the P's.
The P's.
They prospect and they get the listing.
The P's.
They put it into the MLS, the multiple listing service, and then they pray somebody buys it. So it's the P's.
They pray
The P's.
for it to sell. That's
Right.
wild.
So something that we do that I've designed, I have a marketing plan where I don't only list them on the multiple listing service where, of course, it gets distributed to all the realtors, who subscribe. I list them on 300 national websites, such as Zillow, Trulia, HotPads, different Walmart sites, things like that. In addition to that, I list them globally because in South Florida here, we're an international market.
Right.
And what happens is in the international market, we basically need to advertise to those foreign buyers. So we actually focus and market on 140 foreign websites in 18 different languages.
Wow.
So we're actually focusing on those buyers. Like it's the China version of Zillow. It's the Brazil's version of Trulia. There's 140 websites that we put them on in their own languages. So when they're looking at them, they're seeing that, and there's no extra cost for that. That's just how we market the homes. That's why we sell them.
Wow.
And currently, our entire organization, Charles Ruttenberg, as of right now, we have over 600 homes sold in the last 6 months. We have 240 plus under contract, and there's over 230 on the market right now.
Wow. So
that's showing you we sell homes. We're not out there playing games, running around, chewing bubble gum, sitting on the beach.
Right.
We're here to sell homes. So I wanted to let you know, I took a can of tomato paste and just inserted that into the onion and the garlic that's sauteing. In addition to that, I'm taking the 1/4 cup of sugar, the 2 tablespoons of black pepper, and the 2 tablespoons of salt. And that's all going to go in there right now to caramelize.
Nice. It smells so awesome in here.
Man. Let's get in there.
And I didn't eat dinner.
Just wait, bro. All right, so that takes care of that. So that's the tomato paste. And you always have to use Cento. It's the best.
Really? Why is that one better than the other ones?
They're imported. They're imported from Italy, and it's just a quality of tomato. They don't. Most companies will steam the tomato to get it peeled. They don't do that. And the steaming takes the nutrients out of it, and it also it's a different taste.
Oh wow!
So that's the major difference in the flavors. So So that was to get back to what I was talking about, the advertising. So we're going to put them on 140 different foreign websites in 18 different languages. We're going to go ahead and list them on the 300 local websites. In addition, I mentioned that we have our events. Now, our events that I spoke about, like the Wine Down Wednesdays, we do the wine and beer festivals, the wine and food festivals, and we're out there with all of our listings being presented all the time. We have our website, the SimonettaGroup.com, agentofluxury.com, thefreevalue.com, and on all those sites we market everything. And it's not just put you on MLS and pray. And that's what 90% of the people do. And that's what makes us different with that seller. Now,
well, there's like thousands and thousands of I'd say out of 38,000 realtors, there's probably like only maybe 100 people that actually do it full time.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and very
probably a little more, than that. But I would say full time successfully, where they can make a living and not bartend on the side or something. Yeah, or
and they don't do that.
Right. Now, after this, let me get back to this real quick. Now this is sauteing, and we're good to go. It's all caramelizing in. And now what you're going to do, you take 2 cans of crushed tomato, and we just dump them in. Okay, so once you put the crushed tomato in, now you fill each of them up like halfway with water. With the water here. Because you need to water it down and let it boil out.
Nice. I'm getting some good tips. Oh, it smells so good. Where'd you learn to cook like all this? I mean,
my grandmother, when I was a kid, I just used to cook with her all the time.
Wow.
I actually used to. I was the first grandson, and I used to sleep at her house every Friday night. So I would look forward to Friday night every week. And I swear, from the time I could remember to the time I was about maybe 10, 12 maybe, we cooked something different every night. So what's that? 52 weeks, 10 years, so 520 different things I cooked, never the same thing.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy, yeah. So I love the cooking, and it reminds me of her, when I do it. So.
Oh, that's great.
She's no longer here. She passed away a couple years ago, and it just reminds me of her. So what I want to do is I want to get back to what we were talking about. Get into the second type of seller, which is going to be it's the second type is the expired listing. Now this would be the seller who we just talked about, who the agent either overpriced the house, messed up the contract, the deal fell apart. Which you see that I'm sure on the mortgage side you must have nightmares and situations that you've seen. Do you have anything that you can think of?
Well, on the expired listing side, it's just their house is either overpriced or in poor condition, and then they try to cram some kind of mortgage into it, and it never appraises out.
Yeah, you're going to run into that, and that's common. And what happens now is that seller who was just selling the house on the market, never had it on the market before, now sees an agent that didn't know what they were doing, basically put them in a position now where they're stuck because they need to sell the home either to move on and do different things. Now we're going to let that simmer for about 20 minutes. Okay, so what's going to happen is now they become an expired listing. And number one, they're frustrated. They have no faith in that agent. 90% of the agents never kept in touch or tried to save face because the house didn't get any showings.
Right.
So the agent disappears, and they're left there I don't know what to do. And what happens is I get a list of expired listings every day. Some days we get 50, some days we get 200. It depends from the service. On the multiple listing service, every day we see who they are. And we contact them, and we explain to them how we can help them. And not every call, man, they're irate. They're dealing with an issue where the agent did this, agent did that, this happened, and the things I hear every day.
Wow.
And you know,
What are, like some of them, like what are like?
I had one client. This was a very multi-million-dollar building in Miami Beach. I can't say any names or companies, but it was found out that offers were withheld because the broker wanted to buy the house.
Whoa.
And it was a multi-million-dollar property, and it was found out after the fact. Offers from celebrities were withheld. It just blew me away. And now I'm going to be acquiring this listing probably in about a week. I have a meeting with them. But it's just a matter of of things that just people don't say their word, keep their word, work properly. You know, all they have to do is be authentic, say what they're going to do, and follow up. Like, you know, us every Friday we contact our sellers. We get on the phone with them. We tell them what's going on. Did we have any showings? We didn't have any showings. We need to reevaluate. Do we want to give an incentive? What's the market doing? Like, you know, right now our market's a little slow on the high end because it's just off season. They're not here yet. You know, a lot of the foreign buyers, they're coming in the next couple of weeks, month or so.
Right.
So the high end's a little bit off. But, you know, people don't know that if they don't get it. And you have to explain that. So, you know, when I deal with someone who is irate, I just tell them, look, I'm here to help you. You know, we have this many homes sold, like I just said, and here's what we do. And here's my philosophy. You know, here's how we advertise. Here's how we market it. And, you know, do you want me on your side? Because we'll get the house sold. It's what I do. And, you know, 90% of the time they got to cool off. And then they realize that if you know what you're doing, and then they just open up completely. And you sit down with them and you explain to them how you're going to get it done. And an hour later, you have the listing. And the people, you build a relationship. You know, the whole goal for me with buyers, sellers, anybody, I tried to build that relationship as we spoke about. When you build a relationship and people trust you, they want to work with you, and they have the confidence in you. They refer you. You know, they want to be your friend. They want to be around you if you treat them correctly. And that's how I'd handle that second type of seller that's irate, that doesn't understand what's going on. And I show them how we streamline. You know, we go in there. I show them digitally how everything gets done. You know, what makes us different, what gets everything signed up and processed. And I mean, literally, it takes me a half hour to list a house because I go in there, do all the paperwork with them. It's all digitally signed. Again, right. Now, that's the easy part. Where the work begins is marketing the house, getting the house on the foreign websites, getting the buyers interested in the house, using different medias to advertise the house. That's where the real work begins. The easy part is explaining how we get it done and show the value. Have them sign the listing agreement. That's the easy part. The hard work begins when it comes time to show the house, price the house, get the house on the market, and get it sold, and market that thing.
Right.
You know, that's the part that I love. Actually, I enjoy it. So that's the second type of seller. Now, the third type is going to be your for sale by owner.
The for sale by owner.
Nightmares, yeah. And I don't blame them. Because, listen, imagine dealing with realtors in the past, being treated unprofessionally. Something gets screwed up. Something's wrong. Nothing gets done. Nothing's right. And they think, well, I could do it. If they did it, I could do it. And then they think, you know, hey, I don't have to pay a commission, so I can make more money on the house.
Right.
And, you know, how hard can it be? If that person did it, how hard can it be?
Right.
And, you know, that agent before they dealt with, I mean, if they got through it. So they get to the point where they give it a shot to be a for sale by owner. And what happens there is, you know, they put the house on the market, probably about $20,000 too much because they think the house, you know, the house down the street sold for $100,000 more, and it was 1,000 square feet more and on 2 acres more and had 3 more bedrooms and 2 more bathrooms. And they think their house is worth the same because the house 4 doors down, which was a totally different house, sold for $100,000 more. So they're putting it on the market for a lot more. Now, the first thing they're going to get are unqualified buyers because
right.
A buyer doesn't have a fee. When a realtor works with a buyer, there is no fee to them.
Right.
The seller pays the agent, and the agent splits the commission. So if a real estate agent, there's no cost if you're a buyer. You have no fee for that. You're legally represented properly.
Right.
Your contract is handled. Your title work is out there. I mean, everything is settled for you. And all you do is, give all your documents, get everything done, and go to closing and sign the papers.
Right.
Without paying a penny. If you're a qualified buyer, why wouldn't you use that?
Right.
There's no reason not to, unless you can't get a mortgage. If you're trying to case out the house to break in one day, because there's a lot of shady people out there. And the thing I tell them is you deal with these people. That's the kind of buyers that you get. The other one are the investors who want to pay 50 cents on the dollar, that have a check written out for $100,000 when the house is worth $160, and they hand you a check for $100. Say, do you want it?
Right.
That's what you get. Once in a while you'll find a qualified guy out there that wants to buy it, but then what happens then? Now you got to write a contract. Don't write that contract wrong, because how many of them end up in lawsuits?
Right.
Because you checked the wrong box, or you wrote the wrong language or something. So the craziest thing is also when a buyer comes to a for sale by owner home, they know you're not paying a commission. So when they offer you an offer on the house, they reduce it by the commission amount because they know you're not paying a commission. So at the end of the day, you're still getting the same money, because they know if you're selling a house for $100,000, the commission's $6,000.
Right.
They're going to offer you $94 because they know you're not paying a commission. So what are you gaining? So I developed a program for sale by owners, and I give them the option. Now, the way I do this is I come into them, and when we sit down, I go over the pricing for the home and work it out. But the way it works is, in my contract when I list it, I tell them, look, if you find the buyer, you don't pay me. If I sell the home, you pay me. I allow them to still find a buyer. In the contract, I'll write it right in there. If buyer finds seller for the home, or if seller finds buyer for the home, 0 commission is due.
That's great.
And I give them another option. I tell them, if you find the buyer for the home, no commission is due, and you may choose to pay me 1%, and I'll do all the paperwork for you.
Oh, wow.
I'll write the contract. I'll get the deal done for 1%. They're going to pay the lawyer anyway, hopefully, to do something like that.
Oh,
So I give them an option. And, when they realize, when they look at the facts of it, and then, a few weeks into it, like 85, 90% of people who sell their home for sale by owner list within 90 days. Because they get the tire kickers, they get the issues, they get the deals that fall through. They get the guys trying to buy the house for $100,000 when it's worth $160.
Right.
And they get sick of it, and they get frustrated. And then a lot of times in a tough moment, they make a bad decision and choose a poor realtor. Mm-hmm. So I try to intervene before they get there. And that's how I deal with the for sale by owners. So when it comes to selling a home, you have the for sale by owner, the expired listing, and the person who's actually just trying to get ready to sell the home. And they're the steps that I work with them. I also have a site. It's thefreevalue.com. So anybody that is in the first stages of looking to sell their home, you can go on there, type in your address, log in through Facebook or type in your email, and it will give you a report within a percentage of what your home's worth. And it actually, I designed it so it pulls the information from the multiple listing service.
Ah.
So when you put your address in, it's going to take everything in your neighborhood that sold. Some are higher, some are lower. It's not 100% accurate because it doesn't know how many bedrooms and everything like that. It's not perfectly accurate. But it gives you within a range of what your home is worth.
Huh.
Shows you a Google map view. You can search around. There's some video technology on there that explains the process. And then from there, the next step is we meet, and I go over all the processes of what we can do for you and how we market it. So that's what I do for sellers.
Wow.
And I got the system down. It took some time to make it perfect. And there's always tweaking, but everyone I deal with is always tremendously satisfied with how we come across. and how we get the deal done. So
Wow.
but that's it. That's my, my interpretation and the way I work with my sellers. And I like to answer any questions that they have, and I really truly try to help them completely. And that's where I come from, that contribution to make the process simple and effective. So, but we're good to go. Now let me give this a quick stir. And go here. You want to go to break? Okay, so we're gonna take a little break here. We're gonna get this all together, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with the Real Estate King of South Florida on Slowfill Radio.
The Real Estate King of South Florida continues after this.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4 week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now, 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
Are you sick and tired of the real estate unprofessionals? Good, so are we. Visit us at agentofluxury.com to see how we can help you. Now, back to the Real Estate King of South Florida.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I just, during our break there, I just threw our basil into the pot of sauce here that's simmering. And so you throw like about 5 or 6 leaves in there, maybe more if you like it. And we're going to let that simmer. Now, I have my, the ravioli we prepared is actually being prepped in a separate room. I didn't have enough room in here to do that. So that's going to be done very shortly. So basically, getting back to the selling market, in real estate, in South Florida, our market right now is up about 12% from the year before, and we have a market here that is basically balanced right now. It's not really a buyer's or a seller's market. It's actually fairly balanced. There's a good amount of listings coming onto the market, and the average day on the market isn't substantially high or low. If you price your home right, I say within about a 30-day period, the home's going to be sold. There's a good amount of buyers, foreign investors, and first-time buyers are actually up right now. You have a generation coming up, and so being a seller in this market, you have a tremendous capability if you're marketed properly. So you need to be where the buyers are looking. And, in today's real estate market, it's not like it used to be. It's not where, a buyer had to find an agent. 96% of purchases start online, where a buyer goes on Google or goes on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com. And they're starting out there, and then they're proceeding to finding an agent. And a lot of times now, what's happening is a lot of times the buyers actually know more about the property than the agent because they've already done the research. They're already doing the searches, the crime stats, and the background of the property. You know what was there before in the past, the history of the title. It's all public knowledge, and with today's technology, there's a lot there. So, being an agent and being a realtor, you have to be educated. You have to be up to speed where you can handle that. You can know the knowledge of the properties. A lot of times out there, there's new people getting into the business. There's agents who are just winging it. And when you're dealing with the buyers that way, they sense that. And it gives an impression on the industry. It gives a negative impression on what we do and how we do it. So you have to really know what you're talking about and know the process and guide these buyers and sellers properly. And when I see other people out there that aren't doing it that way, they don't have systems in place, they don't have a way of being about dealing with a client, their demeanor, the lack of professionalism, it makes me realize that what we're offering as our group, the Simonetta group, that we're actually, hands down above the rest, because just the systems that I have in place that I teach my agents and we work together with just eliminates 90% of the competition, just having a system. And then when you master that system and you are compassionate and you truly care about what you're doing with your clients to put them in the right direction, it just works. It just works. There's no other way to say it. So that's basically the way that we designed our philosophy in the office, where we can actually take our expertise, our experience, our knowledge, and make that transparent to any client that we're dealing with. And when we do that, the client seems to appreciate it and thank us for it. So in closing, that is what makes us different. That's why we have an amazing group of people and we have tremendous results. And we want to share that with you. So we're going to take a quick break one more time, and we're going to get the dish prepared for our cooking segment. And we'll be back in just about 2 minutes. So we'll talk to you in a second. This is the Real Estate King of South Florida, coming from SoFloRadio.com.
As both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist, the weight loss clinic utilizes
Bushwood.
As I jump inside the ocean so blue,
With their sophomore release, Tidal Wave.
we've waited all this time to get the real world off your mind. Yeah.
Get yours on iTunes. Listen on Spotify.
Determination.
South Florida's own Bushwood.
Close your eyes.
For samples and shows, go to bushwoodband.com.
Strawberry patches, smoothie. Come
Get your hands off me!
Huh?
I said don't touch me!
I shouldn't have went to that party last night. Now I'm seeing talking fruit.
You're not dreaming, Bubba, and you're not putting me in that blender.
But you're just a fruit.
Who you calling a fruit?
You are. You're a delicious passion fruit.
Why, sure, I'm passionate. How would you like to be blended, huh? I got right, you know.
Customers waiting. You gotta go.
Yeah, but wait, you can...
At Power Smoothie in Aventura, we show fruit no mercy. Always fresh, always delicious. To make the best smoothies and wraps on earth, try our new cilantro lime-alicious wrap or our hot chipotle chicken. Power Smoothie in Aventura, located just north of the Aventura Mall in the Promenade Shops. Or call 305-792-5338. Open 7 days a week.
Are you a realtor who's lost and confused? The Real Estate King coaching program is your solution. Visit realestatemarketingcoach.com and find out how. Now, back to the Real Estate King of South Florida.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Real Estate King of South Florida. This is Philip Simonetta with Mark McDonald and Jack Frost. All right, great. So here we go. This is the best part of the night. I got to roll my sleeves up here.
Yes, I've been waiting.
So everything is completed. We have the little bit of the red sauce that we put together here that you guys all saw. It's all simmered down. And this is something, it's kind of funny because my grandmother used to make sauce and it took like a day and a half. But this is like a quick recipe that we used to put together. And like you saw, it's like 20 minutes and it's like ready to go. So what we're going to do is I have some spinach and ricotta ravioli that a friend of mine makes. And we decided to get a bunch and bring them in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take just some of the sauce here, and we're going to put it over top of the ravioli, and we're going to have some and enjoy it here.
Oh, yeah.
It's about ready. So what I want to talk about while we're just going to have a little bit of ravioli here is some of the changes that are coming in the mortgage industry. As of October 1st, correct, Mark?
October 3rd.
October 3rd. The process of the lending for purchases will be changing. And I wanted Mark to share a little bit about that because he's on top of that and basically is really informative. We had a little conversation earlier about it. And I just want to share that and let everybody know some of the things that are coming along. So Mark is going to take away and go over that.
Oh, awesome. Well, hello, everybody out there. But yes, there is a lot of really great changes that are coming due on October 3rd. The press is kind of, and a lot of real estate agents and lenders have been like downplaying or making it sound like it's a bad thing. But really, there's some great changes. I looked at what all the laws and what they we're going to do to affect our closing disclosures and our upfront disclosures. And I loved it. Actually, when I looked at it, I was like, finally, somebody must have, from the lending business and from consumers, must have had some input to the government officials that made these new disclosures.
You know what I like about it? It's going to eliminate a lot of the negative and a lot of the use, like the people who aren't professional that don't do things properly. It's like a switch, and it's going to eliminate them from the industry. That's what I really like about it.
And I'm like kind of just to kind of piggyback on that. I'm really excited to see come October 3rd. I mean, because there's one big piece to this, all these changes. It basically gives a cooling off period for the buyer to get the final numbers of what they would see at closing, and then they have 3 days at which to review these things before they close. Or if they got them mailed, it would take 6 days for them to review before they're allowed to close on a primary resident home purchase that's using a mortgage. And I think that's a great thing. I don't know why lenders have waited till the end to give you what your final closing numbers are. I mean, the part that takes the longest is going to be like the appraisal, the underwriting, the credit, getting the condominium approved. None of these things, Philip, apply to what the fees and costs are of the loan.
They're known from day one.
They're known from day one. Right. The purchase agreement spells it out. The title company gives a pre-HUD within the first few days. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to come up with that. So most lenders, in their infinite wisdom to make things complicated, is choosing to still do the closing disclosure and figure out what all the numbers are after you got towards the end of the process, like within the last week of the process. And most of these lenders take 30 to 45 days to close a loan now. So if they're going to do that, that's why a lot of people are saying it's going to be 45 to 60 before they're going to close. And it doesn't need to be that way. You know, one of the things that was super exciting about our company is just since they said that they know the numbers up front, so Movement Mortgage, what they do is they immediately start working on all the numbers. And we get the final closing numbers to the borrower within a week to 2 weeks earlier than what the closing is. We do it almost at mid-review. And so we don't wait till the closing until the credit has been completely approved to be able to disclose what these numbers are. We're going to do it as fast as we possibly can throughout the process, and usually do it kind of like in the middle is when you would get the disclosure. So literally for almost a week to 2 weeks with Movement Mortgage, you're going to know what your numbers are. And so that is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how these other lenders handle this, and they're already having a problem closing on time. So
the question, I mean, how does it affect title? Does it affect title of the process at all?
No, well, yeah, it greatly, drastically changes. The way
about,
that the
about the wait.
company,
I know the waiting period. There's like the 3 day, just like when
Yeah.
you would do a refinance, you have
Right.
the 3 day right of rescission.
Correct. Well, what it is the lenders are now responsible for all the final fees, not the title company. So they're causing the title companies to have to work. Well, really, the lenders now are saying, okay, you come into my portal and then you give me all your fees, and then your fees can't change as a title company.
Right.
For those that don't know, there's a title company has a lot of fees, and they used to in the industry up prior to this October 3rd change were the ones that the lender dumps all their fees to, the realtor sends the contract to, everybody sends all the bills and the fees to this centralized company, the title company, and then they sort all the numbers into a HUD closing statement. Well, the HUD closing statement is going to go away after October 3rd, and now it's the responsibility of the lender on homes that have mortgages to give this information to. So that's a big change.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. Absolutely. But take a break and taste that.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna...
And let me know what you think.
Yeah, this is, oh, man. It looks so good. Oh, yeah.
That's it, right?
No.
Any restaurants like that?
No. And that sauce is delicious.
In 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes.
That's what it's about, bro. How do you like it, man? Speechless.
And the ravioli is delicious. Who your friend who made that,
Yeah.
that's great too.
It's a recipe that I use. He just has a shop where they make them down in Miami.
Wow. It's good, but the sauce is delicious.
That came out great. So basically, I just like to simplify processes, and the way the changes are coming in October, and the way everything that we do is up front, black and white, on the table. It eliminates issues, and the only downside to the industry that I see is dealing with other people out there who don't uphold their end, that we're chasing around, following up, making sure things are done properly, getting extensions done because something with an HOA, a homeowners association, that they didn't follow up on. And I try to stay ahead of that. I try to just do their job and my job, because it just makes life easier to make that extra call, do that extra step where it can delay things for weeks, and you gotta have the right people in the right place that you're working with to catch those things in time. Right. And that's the challenge in the industry today for me. Is having that group of people together that covers each other's back and gets the job done, but they're covering each other's back to cover the customer's back.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. And I think that's the goal of the team I'm building. That's the goal of the avenue we're trying to take. So I know with Movement, you guys have your new office now too, right?
Yeah.
You guys are all set up in there, and
we're all set up. now.
Talk about Movement a little bit. Let everybody know what you guys are doing.
Oh, thanks, Philip. Well, Movement Mortgage, we're the fastest lender in the U.S. And we're new to Southeast Florida. Actually, we've only been down here 6 months. I was the area manager for the mortgage division for PNC Bank prior to that, almost 4 years. And, I looked around. I was like, there has to be a different way to do business for a consumer. I mean, it can't be okay to miss closing dates. It cannot be that difficult to do. This isn't rocket science. I mean, we're sending people to the moon. We're planning on sending them to Mars. And we can't figure out how to close a loan on time in 30 days.
That's so true, man.
I'm like, it frustrated me. I spent so many sleepless nights trying to figure out how I can make our process better. But in the reality, no matter how good your loan originator is, no matter how awesome the person, your friend, your brother, or whoever you may know or were referred to, if they're working with a company that has a poor back office, and it's easy to see who that is. I mean, go to customer complaints on mortgage, type that in Google. You'll see like how many. I mean, you'll see what people are saying about lenders. And the CFPB put the consumer protection thing with the NMLS number for your lenders, so you can look up their NMLS number and see filed complaints. But yeah, so anyways, Movement Mortgage wanted to do it a different way, and I was really intrigued by that. And they do 6-hour underwriting turn times. I'm like, 6-hour underwriting turn times? It takes most lenders 2 weeks for initial underwrite. So basically, we hurry up, get all the documents, and then we sit around and wait for 2 weeks. And meanwhile, we work on the appraisal and other things and condo approval process. But there's this long waiting time. I mean, hello, hire more underwriters. No, they don't do that. They'd rather lose customers and say, well, it's a balance of like. Yeah. So what Movement Mortgage has done is they've hired 3 times the amount of underwriters for the volume we're doing compared to any other lender. And what that allows us to do is have 6-hour underwriting. And I'm telling you, if you're in a pinch, and we call it, when you send in documents, the documents have babies.
Indeed.
Yeah, so like you give me 4 or 5 things, and then all of a sudden those things end up creating a baby condition, another item that I need. Well, if it's really an urgent thing, do I send it back at another lender? These loan officers doing it, they have to wait, 2, 3, 4 days on a resubmit? Well, hey, bam, 6 hours for us. So like if you want to know something fast, and this is why we have the speed we have.
And then you guys have the processing 24 hours, correct?
Yeah. We do. We do 7-day processing from start to finish, and we run 3 shifts on our processors. So, like after we get all our documents all in, the night shift takes in and does sorting. They'll sort the documents, follow up on verification of employment, verification of rent.
If you want more, sorry.
Oh, I think I will. So, there's a lot of things that have streamlined it. Why we're able to do 7-day processing, and the realtors and the clients we have, the ones that we work together, they love it. Yeah. I mean, we close deals. All our deals we close early.
Mm-hmm. The last one we just closed, 23 days?
Yeah.
20. From contract to close.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And we moved it up. I think the closing date was even further out, and we just said, we're ready.
It was set for October 1st, and we did it last Friday.
So, I mean, it works, and you don't have to do business that old way. And if you're a seller, like this segment, you're talking about sellers. Yeah. From a seller's perspective, it's going to be a big deal on October 3rd. If whoever your buyer is using for lending is going to make a difference if your closing is going to go from 30 to 45 to 60 days out. So I'd be very concerned who the buyer is going to use for a lender. Uh-huh. And the other thing from a seller's perspective, from Movement Mortgage, one of the things that we offer Philip and his team is we reduce the time off the market for the seller. If a buyer comes with us, we get the yes, no, and maybe way early on, and we basically clear all the conditions and the issues within the first week of the contract. So from that point on, then it's just us following through either the timeline of the contract. But we reduce the time off the market for the seller and reducing the loss that they might lose other buyers.
Yeah, indeed. And then you eliminate the buyers that aren't buyers quickly.
Right.
That's the best part as an agent. With you doing the underwriting up front and getting the mortgage commitments and all that, it allows us not to waste our time with people who are not qualified to buy. Yeah.
Give Philip our seconds too here.
That's cool. You want another one, man? You good? Okay, we're cool. So that's actually it's just a great system that works well with what we do. In general, so you got cheese, man?
Oh, I would love some. This is great.
All right, so we're going to get ready to wrap up this week's episode. Next week, we will have Wendy Delgado here with us from Title Now, Inc., out of Fort Lauderdale. who works with us on many different projects. She'll be here to discuss more of the changes in the industry that are happening this week, and we can go into more of that with next week's episode. We'll have most of the episode about that that change, the CFPB. So thank you very much for being part of our show this week. Please reach out to us at thesimonetagroup.com. You can email me directly at philsimonetta@gmail.com. And our office number is 786-519-7991. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching the Real Estate King of South Florida on SoFloRadio.com. Have a great night.
You've been listening to the Real Estate King of South Florida, Philip Simonetta, PA. The Real Estate King can be heard every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on SoFloRadio.com. To find out more about the Simonetta Group of Charles Ruttenberg Realty, visit agentofluxury.com and learn more about the Real Estate King coaching program. Visit RealtorMarketingCoach.com.